Hello YouTube, and welcome to an all new Elder Scrolls lore video. Today we're talking about the Grey Prince, Oblivion's Grand Arena champion, and famously a half-orc, and one of the very few examples of half-blood characters that we've seen in the Elder Scrolls universe. He is quite the interesting character, so let's immediately unpack what we have. So, the Grey Prince, lesser known by his actual name Agronek Malog, is the arena champion that we find in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and the final boss of the arena questline before we as the players can become the grand champion of the arena. He is one of the most well-known and popular people all around Cyrodiil, with hordes of supporters which comes to the Imperial city from all over the Empire to see him fight, as many consider him to be the greatest fighter on Tamriel at around the time of the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. And with good reason, as he's been the undisputed champion of the arena for more than 10 years when we meet him, defeating any challenger, great and small, who'd come to face him, and defeating many monsters and creatures in exhibition battles for glory in the arena. But not only his impressive fighting contributed to his fame, because he is, as far as we know, the only half-orc around Cyrodiil, and unlike the rest of his green-skinned kin, has a grey skin. He's never made a secret of the fact that he's an half-orc, and when he became the champion of the arena, it led him to the title of Grey Prince, a title that he himself finds to be a bit silly, but he remarks that the people of Cyrodiil need heroes and that he's more than happy to oblige and fulfill that role for them. When he's asked about his origins, he is open to people about his history, and he tells you how he's the son of an Imperial noble lord who had an affair with his mother, an orc. He tells you that when the Lord's wife found out, she tried killing him and his mother, causing his mother to flee with him. The actions of the Lord's wife denied him any noble titles, but in the arena he strove to be noble in his own right, meaning noble in his deeds, as he respected opponents and he was friendly towards the people that he met and was happy to help new arena participants get on their feet in the system and give them advice. But despite all his fame and glory earned in the arena, he kept being curious about his origins and about his father, as his mother refused to elaborate any further beyond the story she told him about having to flee when the Lord's wife found out. Even when her son became the Grey Prince and one of Cyrodiil's most famous individuals, she wouldn't tell him more. It was only when she passed away, shortly before we can meet Agronek in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, that she told him to go and look for proof of his father, giving him a key which would unlock the secrets to his birth at a castle called Crownhaven near Anvil. Being the grand champion of the arena, Agronek had no time to leave the city himself, so when we meet him as the player, he asks us to travel to Crownhaven and bring him back proof of his birth. If we decide to do it and travel to Crownhaven, we find that the castle is completely in ruins and totally abandoned, save for some rats and other foul creatures prowling around the undercroft of the castle. When we search the ruins, we eventually find a locked door which can be opened using the key that Agronek gave to us. Behind it we find a large luxurious room with a feral and starving vampire within who's gone mad with hunger and a lack of blood to feed on. We're forced to kill the vampire, but we can find several written documents by the vampire from before he turned feral, and we can find out that the vampire had been the Lord Lovidicus, former lord of the area and father of the Grey Prince, or so the Grey Prince claims. We can read in his journal that he had actually been a nobleman, but had become infected with vampirism eventually. He tried to cope with it as best as possible and lead a normal life, just like Count Janus Hasseldorf Skiengrad, who is also a vampire, and does the similar thing with trying to lead a normal life. I've also made a video on him, so watch that if you're interested in it. It's in the description of this video. The journal of Lord Leviticus describes the Lord falling madly in love with his orcish servant, Luktuf Malog, the Grey Prince's mother. Nobody around him, including her, knew of his vampiric affliction, and he kept it a secret from everyone, including her, even as they came together and she returned his love eventually. He wanted to tell her of his affliction, but could never muster up the courage, and then something nearly impossible happened. She got pregnant with a child of his. Vampire's fertility is said to be quite low, and the chance of an orc and a human making a successful offspring is also really low, so the chances of this were near impossible, but yet it happened. And the Lord Leviticus knew that he had no choice but to tell her of his affliction now, that there was a chance that their offspring would have strange deficiencies, and it'd be better that she knew beforehand, so he told her. But unfortunately for him, Lukte felt betrayed when he told her, and scared after he told her that he was a vampire. She ran from him and called him a monster and refused to come out of her room for the rest of the day, locking herself in. That night, however, as Lord Leviticus slept, she locked him in his room, in his private underground chamber, so he would never be able to escape, and then she fled from the castle after telling everyone of his affliction. The people of the area fled and avoided the castle, allowing it to fall to ruin. And Lord Leviticus slowly went mad underground out of vampiric hunger, and nobody ever saw him again, until he was slain by the hero of Kvarch as you, the player, come and retrieve his journal. We can bring the journal to Agronek, the Grey Prince, and reveal his origins to him, but if you do, Agronek will wail in despair with the knowledge that he is a half-vampire, and he will fall into a deep depression, seeing himself as a wretched spawn of evil. When the time then comes to face him in the arena, to battle to become the Grand Champion, he will not put up a fight. He will lay down his arms and ask you to slay him, as he cannot live like this, knowing that he's something filthy and evil, begging you to kill him in the arena in front of his adoring fans. It's quite the tragic story with a bitter end for one so glorious as the Grey Prince, and it shows how much people hate vampires in the Elder Scrolls universe, and how being one, or at least part of one, is associated with absolute filthy evil, even if there is nuance to that with people like Count Hasseldor, Serana, and of course Lord Ludovicus before he went mad, demonstrating that it is possible to be a peaceful vampire who lives not to do others harm. It's a shame and a real sad ending to his story. But before ending the video, allow me to mention something real quick, because I once made a video on genetics and procreation in the Elder Scrolls universe. The narration of those two videos is not as good as this one, but watch it if you want. It's also in the description. Anyway, those videos explain how when people in the Elder Scrolls universe have children, it will always have the race of the mother, or at least a really high percentage of chance that it will have the race of the mother. Half-breeds are very, very rare, but the story of the Grey Prince shows that how if one parent is a vampire and the other isn't, that it will actually influence the child and make them half vampire in the Grey Prince case, or at least give them vampiric traits affecting their appearance, even if the mother is no vampire. Which is curious, as usually the child inherits the racial abilities and qualities fully from the mother, so that's quite interesting, in my opinion. That said, it is time to end this video as we cover the entire story. But as usual, before I end the video, allow me to say that I hope to see you again in the next Elder Scrolls Lore video, hopefully next weekend. And allow me to thank my top Patreon supporters: Bernardo Binda, Slav Howard, Gabriel Binda, Polarized Putin, Athena Hyodis, King Chris, Doji, Fenrir, Sword of Bushido, Sarmikal, and Mr. Christmas. It's thanks to all these people and all the others on screen that we see on the screen right now that this channel stays alive, and for that I'm very grateful, as thanks to them I can actually invest my time to make these videos. That said, I hope to see you all in the next Elder Scrolls Lore video. Bye bye.